Hello everyone and welcome back to the Indie Crew channel. My name is Magnamighty and today we'll be reviewing the dungeon action RPG shooter The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. Before we begin, I'd like to specify that this review will only cover the Afterbirth Plus game and not the new DLC, Repentance. The game was released on the 28th of September 2011, however, the Afterbirth Plus version was released on the 3rd of January 2017. It was developed by Edmund Macmillan and Florian Himsil, and published by Nicholas. The prices for each console will vary, due to the fact that the Switch version has Afterbirth Plus as a standalone game, whereas you need other titles in order to play Afterbirth Plus on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. On Nintendo Switch, the game costs £35.99, or $39.99. On Xbox and PlayStation, it costs £11.99 or $19.99. On PC, it costs £25.97 or $35.97. I'll specifically be reviewing the Nintendo Switch version of the game. Now, with all of that out the way, let's get into the review. The game follows the story of a child named Isaac, whose mother hears a voice that she believes is God, telling her that her son is evil and corrupted by sin, and that she'll please God by killing Isaac. After being chased by his mother, Isaac runs into the basement with his mother hot on his trail. When playing the game, the controls are smooth and easy to pick up. You walk around and aim with the joystick and fire tears with the action buttons. Depending on what button you press is where you shoot. For example, on the Switch, X will shoot upwards, Y will shoot left, A will shoot right, and B will shoot down. The controls were very accurate when pressed, with zero delay. In the game, there's a massive variety of enemies and items. Defeating main bosses in the game like Mum's Heart, It Lives, and Satan allows you to unlock more enemies and items, each with their own effects and traits. There are also unlockable characters, each with their own abilities, and can be unlocked by completing certain tasks. Obviously we have Isaac, who's unlocked by default, but we also have characters like Madeline, who can be unlocked by obtaining 7 or more heart containers at once, and Eve, who can be unlocked by beating 2 floors in a row without picking up any hearts. The bosses in the game can range from being easy, all the way from making you want to curl up into a ball and cry yourself to sleep at night. One of the easier bosses that can be fought at the start of the game is Monstro, who jumps around the room and spews red tears trying to hit Isaac. An example of one of the trickier bosses is Hush, which is a multiple phase boss who can summon his own special enemies, but also has an extremely high amount of HP, unlike any other bosses. As I've already mentioned, there are also a ton of enemies within the game, but due to the fact that there are over 180 different enemy types, I'll just keep this section short. One of the first enemies is a frowning gaper Walks, who run towards Isaac dealing contact damage. They start out with their eyes closed, but when they catch the eye of Isaac, their eyes open and they permanently move faster. There's also a Horf, which is a stationary enemy that fires a medium-ranged bloodshot at Isaac when he gets in range of them. Apart from these two examples, you can expect to find tons of other unique enemies throughout the game. Next up, we have the items, which just like enemies are one of the game's key functions. Now, there are even more items than enemies, 547 to be exact. Once again, I'll only cover a few of my favourite items within the game. The first item being the most obvious, Brimstone. When the Brimstone item is activated, tears are replaced with the ability to charge and fire a powerful laser that travels in a straight line across the room, dealing a lot of damage to any enemies it comes into contact with. This item is even better when used with items like Tech X, which will make the Brimstone bigger and fire in massive circles. My next favourite item is Pyromaniac. When activated, if Isaac is hit with an explosion, instead of hurting him, it heals him. And last but not least is the Dr. Fetus item, which is the direct reference to Edmund Macmillan's Super Meat Boy game. It can be used to change Isaac's tears to bombs, which deal explosion damage to anything near. The art style consists of pixel art throughout the entire game, and it's something I find very unique and not commonly used now due to the fact that most games make use of high-end graphics which the game ignores. I think that this art style fits very well with the overall style of the game and reminds me of another game, Soul Knight, due to the fact that they are similar in gameplay and style. Another thing about the game that doesn't get mentioned often is the actual in-game cutscenes. The cutscenes fully animate and range from 30 seconds to a minute. I found that they were actually really well put together, however some are reused. They provide more lore into the game and are a great reward to the player. The soundtrack in this game was composed by Danny Baranowski and is pretty good. but I didn't hear anything noteworthy. Despite this, I found that the soundtrack does fit very well with the overall creepy vibe, and additionally, the music when fighting bosses does give you that stressful feeling you should have when fighting a boss. The boss theme also changes with final and semi-final bosses too. And with all of that said, I'm going to be giving this game a review score of 9 out of 10. The sole reason why this game isn't a 10 out of 10 is because I generally find the music quite mediocre, and the difficulty can really ramp up during the final floors of the game. Nonetheless, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus is a really fun game you can constantly come back to from the fact that the game is randomly generated each time, which can add to the fun, along with the fully animated cutscenes at the end of each run. If you like this video, why not check out some others that we've done, and make sure to subscribe as it really helps us out. Just want to say a huge thanks to Silver for the thumbnail, and we have a community Discord server if anyone wants to check that out. The server, along with Silver's socials, will be linked in the description. As always, I'll see you all next time.